Welcome to Reaper Rising's Halo CE Spawns and Randoms Guide. In this video, I won't be doing any fancy editing like I did with the grenade video. I'm just going to be providing information as concisely and directly as possible. We'll be talking about randoms, spawns, and spawn kill setups, and each will be divided into its own section for every competitive map. The categories will also be ordered from most to least important. We'll be drawing heavily on halospawns.com. So if you aren't familiar with Halo CE's spawn system at all, I recommend reading through the explanation they have on the homepage there. It takes like 2 minutes, it's brief, thorough, and very easy to understand. The long and short of it is that in 2v2, your spawns are determined entirely by where your teammate is. You'll always spawn near your teammate, and that means your teammate can highly influence the likelihood of spawning you somewhere by intentionally putting themselves close to a spawn point and blocking other spawn points that they don't want you to spawn on. The only time that you won't spawn near a teammate is if they're on a random. Those are the pink areas indicated on the maps at halospawns.com. If your teammate is standing in any of these areas when you spawn, you'll spawn randomly anywhere on the map. Or I should say, anywhere your opponents aren't blocking. So how can this be useful? Well, the three biggest ways are randoming your teammate so they don't spawn in a bad spot with you, spawning your teammate up into a power position while you're stuck down low, and anticipating where your opponents are based on their spawns. If you know the spawns, you can also learn how to effectively set up to spawn kill your opponents. Note that enemies can block spawns from far larger distances than teammates, so you can intentionally block your opponent from spawning near you, which limits their spawn possibilities and makes it more likely that you'll be able to kill them off spawn. So in this video, we'll be going over all of this spawn knowledge for each competitive map, and we'll be talking about how to apply it. Like my grenade video, this won't be exhaustive, but it will be everything you need to know to play at a high level. Alright, so here we are on Hang 'em High on the halospawns.com website. And when you first load in, it'll look like this. You want to make sure you check randoms and X-ray spawns so that you can see the spawns through walls, and so that you can see the pink indicators for randoms. So on Hang 'em High, the first and most used random is the pit random. You can see here it goes all throughout the pit, and it even goes up into the red tombs quite a ways, and then all the way through most of the blue tombs as well. So this pit random is extremely good to get away from sweet spot or bottom open or red shotgun spawns. Also, you can kind of dance around hangman here and make sure you keep randoming your teammate. The next random is the red danger random. This is called danger because it's very dangerous to stand here. What you'll do for this random is you'll stand right about here until you know your teammate is about to spawn, and then right as the spawn comes up, you'll come out just enough so that you can see this outside part like this, and you will always get a random that way. The next randoms are the four corner randoms. In this corner at back red, you have a 37% chance to random, and if you jump, you get an even higher chance. So that's one of the few randoms that isn't a 100% chance, but it is very worth going for. One of the corner randoms that is a 100% chance is what's called the trash random, because this is one of the worst spawns on the map, so you have a random here to make sure your teammate doesn't get stuck there with you. The next is the camo corner random, all the way back here at camo. This whole corner is a random. As long as you're standing in it, you'll random your teammate. And finally, we have the dark blue corner random. And in fact, this whole back wall, all the way up to this tombstone, is a random. The next random is the office random. It starts just above the ramp here and goes a good bit down. If you count, there's 1, 2, 3 grates here you can see. 1, 2, 3. So that's how you can tell where to stand. Then there is the camo random. That's at the foot of the ramp here. And you can just crouch here and random your teammate, which is very good. And you can even still get a 100% chance of a random, even if you're a little bit behind this corner, which means you can protect yourself from opponents' top blue, at least somewhat. Now that we've covered both the camo corner random and the camo random, I want to mention this random, right at the back wall near camo. This random isn't one that you'll be using unless you have camo, since you're so exposed, perhaps if both of them are dead. The way I do it is I simply split this tomb with this pillar. And as long as you do that and you have your back against the wall, you'll have a 100% chance of randoming your teammate. The next random is the T2 random. You can see right next to this tombstone here, you have a random, and you just stand right about in the middle behind this symbol here, and you have a 100% chance for a random. The next random is the Red Tower random. I'll also mention that both the Hangman, PP, and the Catwalk, these are all a random. And then at the Red Tower random here, you can actually crouch right on this corner, and almost no one will be able to see you unless they're up top, and you will get a random for your teammate. If you crouch back here and look out like this, you can see all of these red spawns, you can see these top closed spawns, you can see top blue spawns, you can see blue shotgun spawns, but as long as you're crouching, you won't be able to be seen very easily, so you can see all these spawns and cover them, so you'll want to be facing like this when you do this random. The next random is called the Safe Random. For this one, it's a little bit tricky, but in-game what you'll want to do is look straight down so that your reticle is right on the center of this corner here, where these two lines meet, and then crouch, and that will give you the random every time. And finally, we have an honorable mention. If you stand in this corner all the way back, you'll have about a 25% chance to random your teammate. Finally, the honorable mention to the honorable mention. If you have about 4 or 5 seconds for your teammate to spawn, instead of standing in this corner and hoping for the 25%, you can jump up here, jump on top of this tombstone, or that one, and then try to time your jump to get a random in this spot here. Now this isn't going to work every time, obviously, but you can, if you time it right, get a very high chance, if not 100% chance, to random them. And you can even just jump from here and get right around a 30-40% chance. So you probably won't use this very often, but it is worth knowing about so that you can go for it if you're in that situation. Alright, now for the spawns themselves. The first spawn is spawning your teammate up to blue pistol from underneath. If you stand in this corner, you will have an 85% chance to spawn your teammate up and a 15% chance to random them. The next spawn is spawning your teammate down from front blue. As long as you're really anywhere on the front of this blue area, you will spawn your teammate down. Sometimes that's really good if you want to give them a chance to go for camo. Sometimes that's really bad if your opponents know you're up there and expect them to spawn down. So, use this spawn wisely. The next spawn is the T2 spawn up. So if you hug the right side of the closed ramp and you're far enough up, you get about a 70% chance to spawn your teammate up T2 right above you, and a 30% chance to spawn your teammate down at bottom closed. Note that if you see one opponent spawning in these places and you don't know where the other is, you get a hint that their teammate might be at one of these spots. So if you see someone blue pistol, for example, and you don't know where the other is, you should check and see if he's under blue pistol. This is especially useful on maps with less randoms, and we'll cover those in a moment. But first, let's briefly cover spawn kill setups on this map. First of all, anytime you see 2 spawns close enough together to be hit by a single grenade, that's somewhere where you want to be grenading to get kills. So red shotgun and blue shotgun, as well as top closed, all count for that. So these are places where you can be grenading to get kills. If you stand too close to them, as you can see with these influence cones, which I'll explain later, then you'll block them. So you do want to stand far back enough, like here, you can stand on the open ramp, to not block those and make sure that they have a chance of spawning there. There are some spawns, like this nose spawn, where you won't be able to grenade both spawns at once, but because the spawns are so close together, if one person spawns here, the other is highly likely to spawn here. And even if one spawns here, the other is highly likely to spawn on one of these 2 sides of nose. So in other words, grenading one of these 2 spawns is really covering effectively more than one spawn. The same is true of red pistol, where you can actually cover both of these spawns by throwing a grenade off the back wall and getting it in between here. But even if you don't manage to do that, getting a grenade on any of these 3 spawns will effectively cover more than one spawn, because if they spawn at any of these, they're likely to spawn their teammate at one of the others. The same is true of these 2 spawns at blue shoddy, and these 3 spawns at bottom open. Nading Blue Pistol works the same way because you have one spawn down here that's very likely to spawn up, so you effectively cover more than one spawn. Finally, if your opponent is on Red Tower but isn't standing on Danger or Red Tower Random, he has an almost 100% chance of spawning his teammate either Red Ramp Corner or directly under him, which should give you some easy kills. Alright, on to Damnation. The most important randoms on this map, in order, are the Waterfall Random. This is really good for getting your team out of trash room. Just simply walk out, stand anywhere on this middle platform, all the way up to the OV, and you'll random your teammate. The next random is the Red Random. This is back against the wall right here, and in game you can see there's a crate here. You'll be directly behind this crate, back against the wall. This is especially useful for when your opponents have height control, they are green, they are top shotgun, and you just need a way to get out. The next random is the Pit Random. With this one, as long as you're standing touching this pillar, you have a 100% chance to random your teammate, instead of spawning them either elbow or sniper here, where your opponent will expect, or even worse, short ladder. As you can see here, this random also extends up to the street. So if you stand in the middle between these two pillars on street, you will get a random. And last but certainly not least, the majority of the catwalk up here is a random, as well as these two legs. Alright, next is Damnation Spawns. The first one is Clinky to green Plat spawn up. To do this, you want to hug the right side of the tunnel and go about halfway up. And as you can see, you'll get a 60% chance to spawn your teammate up green Plat. And you'll get a combined 40% chance to spawn your teammate at one of these three spawns underneath. And next we have the green Plat spawn up. To do this, simply avoid being too close to this spawn and blocking either of these, and you will spawn up. I usually do this by crouching so that no one can see me from street and simply putting my back to the wall. Next we have the shotgun corner to green spawn. If you put yourself in this corner, you have a 35% chance to spawn your teammate green, a 55% chance to spawn them with you bottom shotgun, and a 10% chance to get them a random. Next we have the elbow spawn up. To do this, simply put yourself into the elbow corner, and as you can see, you have about a 40% chance to spawn up your teammate to green Plat, and about a 60% chance to spawn them bottom green. Next we have the trash room to sniper spawn up. If you don't think you can make it to the random in time, simply put yourself in this corner and you'll guarantee to spawn your teammate up in sniper. It is worth noting that if you're anywhere on shotgun Plat, you're going to have a high chance of spawning your teammate underneath you. Sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you want to keep them up with you. So in that case, if you kind of hug this corner here, you have about 60% chance to spawn your teammate with you at green Plat. The other 40% is taken up by either bottom green or elbow. And you can also just walk back here and all but guarantee your teammate spawns bottom green. Finally, we have the portal to red spawn down. As long as you're standing relatively close to this portal, you will all but guarantee your teammate to spawn underneath you. Now, I do want to emphasize that these principles can be used in reverse. So let's say that I want to spawn my teammate underneath me and I stand here. If my opponent knows that, they can nade those spawns and get free kills. And I will insert a clip right now of me doing exactly that on Damnation. Now let's talk about the spawn kill setups on Damnation. This is where I'm going to explain how to use the team influence toggle. If you turn this on, it'll look like an absolute mess. But what this is doing, you can see it's showing me where the influence cones are for the spawns. And that means I get an idea of where I want to stand to avoid blocking those spawns so that I can grenade my enemies off spawn. Now, this is the team influence spheres. The enemy influence is actually about a 1/6 smaller than this. So even though it looks like both of these are ending here and like I have to stand against this wall, I don't actually, because it's a 1/6 smaller. Take that into account when you're using this. In this case, as long as I stand on this area back here, I shouldn't be blocking those spawns. And if I stand closer toward here, I will block these two spawns and maybe even that spawn, definitely this one. That way I block a lot of spawns and I can cover these top two spawns at the same time. Then if we look at the influence spheres right here, we can see that if we stand back from this corner, again, it's a sixth smaller, so it's more lenient. But if we stand back from this corner, we should be able to grenade these spawns without blocking them. And if we stand right around here, we can block 1, 2, 3, 4 spawns, watch these bottom two, and still get a grenade on these top plat spawns. Next we have the bottom shotgun spawns. If you put a grenade right around here, you will cover both of those spawns, and this is extremely easy to do from Catwalk. This is often what I'll be grenading, either green plat spawns or bottom shotgun spawns from up on Catwalk. If you're top shotgun and you stand anywhere around this pillar, you can easily grenade the top green plat spawns, the back green spawns, and the bottom shotgun spawns without blocking any of them. Next we have the red plat spawns, and if we put a grenade between the two, we can cover two spawns at once. When doing this, you do want to be standing all the way back against the wall so that you don't block either of these spawns. What you can also do is stand right about here on this corner, which will block both of these spawns, and then if an enemy spawns here or here, you can throw a grenade down, and if they spawn up, your grenade will kill their teammate when they spawn. And if you turn around and just go a little bit this way, you can throw a grenade right here to cover both of these spawns as well. Finally, we have these two spawns down here that you can cover with one nade from red plat. And then you have the sniper and sniper plat spawns, which can both be covered by one nade from red plat. And finally, you have the two bottom trash spawns, which again can both be covered from red plat. Similarly, if you're sniper plat, you can cover the red plat spawns by putting a grenade right here, and you can throw a grenade down here to try and cover those two spawns. Because most of these spawns are either behind cover or very close to it, you're not going to get a kill off of these grenades all that often, but it can slow the opponent down by making them weak, and sometimes that's worth a grenade or two. Next we have Derelict, starting out with the randoms on the map, and there aren't many. The main two randoms are the top middle random, which is standing pretty much anywhere in this box, and the bottom middle random, again, standing pretty much anywhere in this box. These randoms are guaranteed, but the other randoms are a bit more tricky. In the corner of the camo cubby, shotgun cubby under camo, if you stand in the corner, it's not guaranteed, but if you stand just a step to the left, right on this line here, then you can see it is guaranteed. There's a bottom camo random here, and I will show a clip of this in game, but if you want to have this 100% chance, you need to be standing directly across from this corner here, and then there's a sheet of metal in game that you want to stand directly in line with, and that will guarantee the 100%. And finally, I debated on including this, but there is a random in the corner of the rocket cubby here. If you just stand here, you're gonna only have a 21% chance. If you jump, you might get it up to about 30. So this is not often worth going for, but if your opponents already know you're here and you know that you're just gonna screw your teammate off spawn one way or another, it is worth knowing that it exists and potentially going for. Obviously, if you do go for it, you can see you're either randoming your teammate or you're spawning them down there in front of God and the world. So pick your poison, use this one wisely. All right, next are the teammate spawns. For this map, I didn't necessarily do these in order of best to worst. I just chose to start with this one and go counterclockwise so that it's just consistent and easy to remember. So we're starting with this yellow corner spawn up. To do this, you don't actually stand in this corner. You have to go just a little bit to the left so that you block this spawn, and you will have an 80% chance of spawning your teammate up and about a 20% chance of spawning them down with you. Then there's the yellow wall spawn up. This is standing directly in between these lights here, right in the middle of the yellow wall on this symbol. And when you do this, you'll get a 50% chance to spawn your teammate up right rockets and a 40% chance to spawn them up sniper, with only about 10% chance to spawn them under sniper. Then we have the right side of bottom camo portal here. As long as you block this spawn, you will have a 70% chance of spawning your teammate behind you, up above, and a 30% chance of spawning them in front of you. On the other side, if you stand in around the same spot, about equidistant between this corner and the portal, it will be the same thing. You get about a 70% chance to spawn your teammate back up there and a 30% chance to spawn them in front of you. If you're standing underneath the camo portal and you block this spawn here, you'll have a very, very high chance of spawning your teammate up, and if you don't spawn them up, you'll actually get a random. Next, we have the bottom camo corner spawn up. If you just stand in this corner and block this spawn, you will have a 70% chance of spawning your teammate directly above you, and about a 30% chance of spawning them beside you. If instead you block this spawn by standing about the same spot you did on the other side, even with these lights straight in the middle of the wall, you'll have a 60% chance of spawning your teammate up straight behind you, a 15% chance of spawning your teammate up next to camo, and about a 30% chance of spawning them down in the corner next to you. And just like the other portal, if you stand equidistant from the portal and the corner here, you will have 65% chance to spawn in Needle Cubby and 30% chance to spawn above you, with only about a 5 to 10% chance to spawn in front of you. On the other side, you need to stand the same spot as the others, blocking this spawn. You'll get about a 25% chance to spawn up left needles, about a 70% chance to spawn directly above you, and only about a 5% chance to spawn in front of you. And finally, it's very, very important to know that you can spawn your teammates up with you quite easily by just standing against this wall at pretty much any point. You'll be giving your teammate an 80% plus chance to spawn with you, and you can do this on any part of the map. Now, I do want to make sure for advanced players that you know actually exactly where to stand to be optimal for these. So right now I'm on the left side of Needle Cubby. I've got camo right next to me. And if I stand in this corner, it's a 70% chance to spawn up here, a 10% chance to spawn next to camo, and about a 20% chance to spawn down. Whereas if I stand over here by the cubby, I get almost 80 to spawn up with me, and then another 14 here, which means I get a combined 90 to spawn up. So this is the better corner to stand on. On this side, this is right needles next to the sniper portal. If you stand in this corner, you get 72 plus 13, you get about a 80% chance to spawn up with you, and then about a 15% chance to spawn down. If you're in the middle, it's 90-10, and if you're next to the cubby, it's 100% because they're either going to spawn in front of the cubby or right next to you. If we go over to the other side, this is right side rockets next to sniper. If we stand on this corner, it's a 100% chance to spawn up either with you or next to sniper. On this corner, it's a 90% chance to spawn up with you and actually a 10% chance to random. So in this case, you're guaranteed either they're going to be with you or they're going to random. That means on this specific corner, you can stand almost anywhere and it essentially guarantees your teammate will spawn with you. And finally, on the right side of rockets, left side rockets, next to the camo portal, if you stand in this corner, it's again 90% chance to spawn up with you, 10% chance to random. Stand in the middle, 90% here, 10% down. Stand next to the cubby, 75% here, 25% down. So for this one, you know I don't want to stand against the cubby. Alright, now for the spawn kill setups. Now on this map, you can easily spawn kill opponents simply by throwing a grenade off of either of these pillars, making sure it lands around the middle. Also, both on the camo and the sniper, if you stand completely with your back against the wall like this, your opponents will still have a chance of spawning directly in front of you. And it'll be a smaller chance on sniper side because this forces you out from the wall more, but you still won't be guaranteed to block these spawns. If you're stuck on rockets or needles and want to run for OV or camo, you probably want to grenade the top spawns near you, maybe grenade here, maybe grenade here, maybe even if you're going for camo, grenade here. And if you're already on your way across, probably grenade behind you so that you don't get jumped from behind. If nothing is coming up and you can block top spawns, you don't need to worry as much about guarding the top spawns, and you can just try to maximize your chances instead. So, if it's the half-minute mark, then I'd probably just stand over here and throw a grenade off here, or stand over here blocking this spawn and that spawn, and probably both of these too, and throw a grenade off of here. So that's how to consider spawn kills on Derelict. The next map is Prisoner. This map is a bit unique because it doesn't have any randoms. What this means is that it is highly important to understand how to spawn your teammate on this map because you'll never be able to random them out of a bad position. And since you can't random them out of a bad position, you need to learn how to spawn them up at various places on the map. So we're going to start with the spawns from the bottom level and work our way up. The first important spawn up is the triple door spawn up. If you stand in this corner, you have an 85% chance to spawn your teammate top OV and a 15% chance to random them. Next is the red 1 spawn up. Here you simply block this spawn by standing in the corner and you end up with an over 90% chance to spawn your teammate up top red. Next we have the double doors spawn up. Here again, stand in the corner, block the spawn, and you'll end up with a 58% chance to spawn your teammate back 2 and a 40% chance to spawn them somewhere back 3. Then there's the camo spawn up. Here we don't want to stand on the camo, rather we want to stand back from it against the wall. And you can see here you'll get a 40% chance to spawn right in front of office, 25% chance to spawn red 3, and then the rest of the chance, about 35% is taken up by red 1 and red 2. Next is the safe corner spawn up. If you stand in this corner, you get a very high chance, about 70%, to spawn your teammate bottom safe. Unfortunately, you do still have a 30% chance to spawn your teammate O2, so this can be a little bit risky, but it can especially be worth going for if you have camo, because if your teammate spawns safe and they don't see it, you can get out with camo, your teammate can get up to OV, and you can have a powerful counterattack. Next we have the back 1 spawn up. Simply stand anywhere underneath this, as long as you're not too close to this spawn. And you'll very likely spawn your teammate back 2 and even have about a 20% chance to spawn them back 3. Finally, we have the elbow spawn up. This one is not very good, which is why I saved it for last, mainly because your teammate has a very high chance of just spawning right above you, which is probably going to get them killed. But you do have a 30% chance to spawn them up in office. So this can be tricky, but if you spawn here and your teammate is spawning up again in a second or two, you might as well wait here, at least get them one level above you, and then have a chance of getting them all the way up to office. Alright, on to level 2. Here we have the red 2 spawn up. If you stand in this corner and block the spawn, you will have a 65% chance of spawning your teammate right above you into office, plus another 10% chance to spawn them front office, and only about a 20% chance to spawn them elbow. If you spawn in this corner, you almost never want to walk out of it because you always want to give your teammate a chance to be in office. Next we have the safe spawn up. To do this one, if you stand too close to this spawn, you will block it. So what you need to do is stand just right about on the crease of the ramp here with your back against the wall. And you will still have about a 20-30% chance to spawn them somewhere O2, but you'll have a 70% plus chance to spawn them right next to you. And that way you can both go up together, or one can cover you down red 2 while you try to go up for the OV. Much better than walking up and then just almost guaranteed to spawn your teammate O2 right in front of the enemy. Next is the O2 spawn up. To do this, simply put yourself right in the middle of this pillar on this symbol, and you'll have about an 85% chance to spawn your teammate directly above you, with a 5% chance of spawning them bottom OV, and a 10% chance of spawning them next to you. There's also the trash spawn up. If you spawn here and simply stand on the spawn and block it, you'll have a nearly 100% chance to spawn your teammate up above you. The front back whack spawn up. As you can see, if you stand in the back whack corner, you will most likely spawn your teammate down. But if you stand just past this doorway, you get a 20% chance to spawn front red 3, a 50% chance to spawn directly above you, and only a 25% chance to spawn red 1. And finally, the last spawn for level 2 is the elbow spawn up. And on level 2, this is considerably better because you still do have a 50% chance to spawn your teammate directly below you, but you also have about a 50% chance to spawn your teammate back 3 or inside office. On to level 3, first we have the top OV spawn. If you simply stand between these two spawns, you will have a nearly 100% chance to spawn your teammate with you. If you block one, it's far less likely. So you don't want to stand in this corner, and you don't want to stand right here. You want to stand right between the two to guarantee that spawn. It's also worth mentioning that if you stand in this corner, while you do have a 30% chance to spawn your teammate in one of the worst spawns on the map, you also have about a 60% chance to spawn your teammate up with you. As you can see, if you stand right about here, you still have a 90-ish% chance to spawn your teammate up with you. So this is where actually going on this website and looking at some of these spawns for yourself can be helpful. Also, if you stand close to these two spawns here without blocking them, like hugging this corner here, you'll have a 70% chance of spawning your teammate up with you. The downside is you'll have a 30% chance of spawning them in one of the worst spawns on the map, so use this wisely. The front office spawn is a little bit tricky. If you stand in this corner, you can see you're very likely going to spawn your teammate red too, but you don't really want to be standing out in front of office if you can avoid it. So one of the things you can do is put yourself in this corner, and you'll have a 10% chance to spawn office, about a 45 to spawn front office, and then another 30 to spawn front red. So this is a good spot to stand to spawn your teammate up without exposing yourself. If you want to increase the chances and you're comfortable exposing yourself, maybe you have OV or something, if you stand right about here, just in front of office, you'll have a nearly 100% chance to spawn your teammate up with you. Similarly, with the red 3 spawn, if you stand in this corner, you're protected, and again, you have a 90+% chance of spawning your teammate with you. And if you stand here, without blocking this spawn, you'll have about an 80% chance to spawn your teammate with you. Finally, we have the sniper spawns. Here's the red sniper. The further out you are, the closer you are to that spawn, the higher chance you'll get, up to about a 60%. And you'll always have a sizable chance to spawn them right beneath you if you do it this way. Alternatively, you can stand back in this corner and almost guarantee your teammate the safe spawn underneath. The back wall sniper spawn, pretty much no matter where you stand, you will have an almost 100% chance of spawning your teammate just directly below you on back 3, with a small chance of spawning them back 2. Alright, that does it for the spawns, and last we want to talk about the spawn kill setups. The first spawn kill setup is at top OV. If we turn the influence on, we can see we'll block this spawn, and maybe even the O2 spawn. And again, it's a 6th more lenient, so we can stand out like this, but what we want to do is stand like this and back so that we can see this bottom safe spawn, red 2, front red, front OV. This is where we want to be throwing grenades because we can cover 2 spawns at once. And we'll see some of the back spawns, elbow, red 2, and standing pretty much exactly here will cover almost half the spawns on the map. I should also mention that like Derelict, most of the time you're going to want to throw grenades down here because they spawn looking straight at you, whereas these 2 spawns, they spawn looking away from you. So you don't necessarily have to grenade these ones, even though it will probably get a kill. You can 3 people off spawn here fairly easily, whereas this spawn is much harder to cover. So in that case, you want to think about the spawns that are most dangerous to you and grenade those. And that setup is complemented very well by the office setup. If you stand in this corner, you'll block this spawn and both of these spawns below you, and you can grenade back 3 here to cover 2 spawns, and then you'll be able to cover the front spawns here as well. You can even throw a grenade at that, and you'll see if they spawn trash or front office as well. Front office can also be a very good place to stand depending on where your teammate is. If your teammate is top OV, they can cover your back while you watch the back spawns, grenading here and here to cover 2 spawns at once. And if your teammate is already in office and can cover the back for you, you can stand forward and cover these 2 spawns with a grenade, these 2 spawns with a grenade, and or these 2 spawns with a grenade, which gives you very, very high chances to grenade a teammate off spawn, and you won't be blocking any of these spawns standing here either. Similarly, if we have a teammate top OV, we can be standing red 3 right here and grenading these spawns or these spawns while watching the back spawns as well. And if our teammate is office, we can stand on this corner, watching these spawns, and these spawns, and getting a bunch of double nades on these spawns as well. You can also cover trash, front OV, red 3, and some back spawns with a sniper from red snipe. Likewise, on the other side, if you have a sniper, you can cover quite a few spawns from up here, or even drop down and cover pretty much all of the front OV office, red, trash, and O2 spawns. The next map is Battle Creek. It's worth noting that randoms on this map aren't generally very good because there are so many exposed spawns right in front of the bases. Use randoms with caution on this map because you're quite likely to random your teammate in front of the opponent, especially in front blue. With that said, we'll start with the back left base randoms. So both bases have a random at the back left corner. For this one, you can just stand in the center of this box symbol and just back a step and you'll get the random. For the other one, it's the same spacing and everything, but there's no particular symbol, so you'll just have to kind of get used to it. Then we have the arch random. As you can see, almost the entire arch is a 100% random. And that's also true for light snipe here. Light snipe, the whole ladder, the jump here, this is all random. And so technically is bottom light snipe. Now you can see down at the bottom here that if I just stand against this wall, it's only going to be about a 30 to 40% chance of randoming. But if I do stand against the ladder or against the wall on this side of the ladder, it does give 100%. Then we have the dark snipe random. If you put yourself back into this corner and jump, you'll get somewhere around a 30 to 50% chance to random your teammate. Otherwise, they'll spawn below you. And if you block this spawn below you by standing about directly behind this rock, even with the edge of the other rock, you will get a random as well. When it comes to spawns on this map, there's only a few things to know. First, if you're inside the bases, you don't want to spawn your teammate in the base with you, but you definitely don't want to spawn them out in front of your opponents. So instead, remember to hug the sides, especially near the back and near the jump side of the bases. Here you can see you're going to get over 95% chance to spawn your teammate back here. Here you can see you're going to get a very high chance to spawn them needles. And on the other base, it's the same thing. If you hug the wall here, you're going to get a very high chance to spawn them blue wall. And on the other side, if you hug the side near the jump, then you'll spawn them near that, especially if you stay back more, then it's 100%. The same rules apply when you're on top of the bases. You don't want to be standing in front, especially front blue, as your teammate spawns, unless you're doing this intentionally for them to go challenge for camo. Most of the time you want to stand on the sides, especially the backs. That way, again, you can guarantee they spawn with you. Back side here, same on the other side. Standing on the back guarantees your opponent spawns safely. Same here. But again, you can spawn your teammate down intentionally if you want them to challenge for camo. As for the spawn kill setups on this map, as you can see, these 4 spawns in front blue are extremely easy to grenade, and the same is not the case for red. You've only got 1 front spawn. So if you're going to be grenading spawns on this map, you almost always want to be putting a grenade right here to cover these 2 spawns, or right here to cover these 2 spawns. With that said, if you can stick to top red and top blue, top red, obviously you aren't blocking the spawns and you can see them relatively well. And then top blue, you just have to back up enough that you won't block the spawns. So if you stand right here against this pillar, you'll block this spawn, but all of the others will be unblocked, and you can throw grenades right down here, here, or here, and really effectively cover the front blue spawns. Finally, we have the last map, Chill Out. This map only has 1 random, and it is right behind the health pack, just standing against the wall. When it comes to spawns, there are only a few that are important to know. The first is the dark spawn up to pink. As long as you're blocking this spawn, you'll always spawn your teammate somewhere up in pink. Similarly, if you block this spawn, you have a very high chance to spawn up. To maximize your chances, stand against this corner. As you can see, you get a 50% chance to spawn elbow, and then another 30% chance to spawn pink hall, and otherwise you'll spawn your teammate dark. It's also worth knowing that as long as you're standing underneath this spawn, you'll have about a 50-50 chance to spawn your teammate right here at OV or above at needles. And finally, it's actually very important to know that just standing down here and blocking this spawn doesn't get you anywhere close to guaranteeing this top PR spawn. Instead, your teammate will spawn right next to you in the middle of main and die immediately. So do not try to block this spawn to get your teammate to spawn up. Instead, either spawn them with you or try to come to side door. And then at least if they don't spawn up there, they're likely to spawn mid PR or side door. As for spawn kill setups, the most important is these 3 spawns back here. You can put a nade right here or a nade right here, and you'll be able to cover multiple spawns. I usually go for this one because it's a bit more consistent how close the spawns are. As you can see here, this is the bubble for closest spawn. So as long as you're on mid PR anywhere or top PR, you won't be blocking those and you can grenade them easily. And while you're up here, you can also grenade the Zom spawn. This acts as a partial double grenade because even though you can't grenade both of these spawns at once, if one spawns here, the other is going to spawn here. And if one spawns here in shotgun, they're also very likely to spawn in one of these 2 spots. So it does effectively cover more than one spawn. Next we have the pink spawns. As you can see, it's very easy to cover both of these spawns with a single grenade in the corner. And as long as we're not standing on this platform and are actually in the hall, we won't be blocking any of these 3 spawns, but we will be blocking 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 spawns. If you're already in pink, putting a grenade right here will cover both of these spawns, and you'll be blocking 1, 2, 3 spawns as well. And all you have to do to avoid blocking those 2 spawns is stand with your back against this wall. It's also worth noting that if you do throw a grenade to pink hall while you're back here, you won't be blocking those spawns, so you can cover both of those spawns with a grenade as well. Finally, if you stand anywhere on this back wall behind these pillars, you will block these spawns, but you won't block any of these spawns, which means you can grenade here and cover more than one spawn effectively. And same here, you can grenade here and effectively cover more than one spawn, just like with Zom. And if you actually stand closer to the corner here, you can see as long as you're kind of back beyond these pillars toward this corner, you don't block any of these spawns. In which case you can throw a grenade here, here, or especially here. This will cover 2 spawns, and these will effectively cover more than one spawn. Thanks so much for watching, and if you made it all the way to the end, I commend you. I know this is a lot of information, but it's a resource that's available to you now, so you can come back and study it at your leisure. Speaking of leisure, feel free to hit the like, comment, or subscribe button if you so desire. Special thanks to OutAsCE for inspiring me to make this video, and to Windy, Falcon, Cold Snap, and Mintograde for all your help. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, "Whatever you do, do all to the glory of God." In Acts 16, verses 30 through 31, Paul is asked by his Roman jailer, "What must I do to be saved?" Paul replies simply, "Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved." With that said, this has been Reaper Rising, Soli Deo Gloria, and long live Halo CE. Links to the community and more HCE resources below.